Hey friend, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the pantry. So I'm going to specifically be sharing what it is that I keep in my pantry during the winter months. This is an episode that is a replay episode. It is one of my top downloaded episodes, so I thought this is super relevant for the season that we are coming into, and I wanted to bring it back so you guys could listen to it again. And I do want to share this is an episode that is part of a 3-part series, so I will link the other episodes that go along with this down in the show notes below in case you want to listen to that. But today I am actually going to share with you what I keep in my pantry. It can feel a little bit overwhelming when you're trying to start a pantry. You might not really know where to start. I've given you some great tips in the previous episodes about how to come up with the list that you want for your pantry, but also sometimes just kind of getting a sneak peek inside someone else's pantry gives us some ideas of things we want in our own, and so that's what I want to share with you today. Let's get started. Hi friend, do you dream of having a garden but you don't know where to start? Do you want to switch to more natural products but feel overwhelmed by all the options? Do you believe that a holistic lifestyle would help your special needs kiddo but you're daunted by all the information out there? Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast, where you will learn how to work towards your dream for homesteading, gardening, and holistic living in small, simple steps that won't overwhelm you. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a wife, Jesus follower, and mom to some amazing kids. As some of my kids began experiencing health struggles and developmental delays, I decided it was time to switch to a holistic lifestyle. I quickly became stressed out and burnt out, feeling like I needed to change everything at once. I finally realized that I had to start making one small change at a time, then build from there. I learned to walk this holistic journey in a way that works for me and my family, without stress or overwhelm or constantly feeling like I wasn't doing enough. If you're ready to hear from another mama who understands what it's like to have no time and who can help you make changes towards better health for your family in a way that works for your specific life, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in your earbuds, reheat your coffee for the third time, and let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to actually share with you some of the things that I keep. This is actually very specific to a winter pantry. So for me, like I've mentioned, I like to keep things on stock based off of seasons. I like to have menus based off of seasons. This also encourages me with eating seasonally as far as fruits and vegetables and things like that. So I've just found keeping that rotation of just doing things seasonally has been very beneficial. It's a great way to save money when we're buying produce that is in season as well. And for me, it gives a good variety of different fruits and vegetables when we are eating around the seasons. So I've found that my pantry really does tend to change a little bit with the seasons based off of what we are or aren't eating. Also, we just tend to eat more comfort foods, soups, and things like that in the fall and winter than we do in the spring and summer. So my pantry changes with that as well. So I want to share with you, this is specifically looking at, because we're going into the season of winter not too far from now. And really, my fall and winter pantry look pretty similar, if I'm being honest. They don't change that much. So I just want to share with you what a fall and winter pantry looks like in my home. This is definitely not the extensive list of the things that are in my pantry. I'm really focusing on what are the things that change seasonally, and these are the things that would change seasonally in my home as well and in my pantry. And I just want to share this with you just to give you some ideas and some tips of what I keep and why I keep them. Because I have been there where I just feel like I'm scrambling to find things, or I feel like I'm scrambling to figure out what I even need. And sometimes just getting that inspiration from other people can really help us. And it may not even be that you necessarily want the same things, but it might give you an idea. It might spark an idea of something that actually works really well for your own family. And so sharing those resources and what we actually do with other people can be really beneficial. And this is just a real life look at, hey, this is what I keep, this is what I like, this is why I like it. And that I'm hoping will just encourage you and kind of inspire you to come up with your own very unique list for your family. Okay, number one for me would be bone broth. So I actually like to make my own bone broth and can it. I actually have an electric pressure canner, not an electric pressure cooker, but actually the actual electric pressure canner. And I love that thing. Some people do not like using them. They prefer to use your traditional pressure canner. But for me and with my children and the dynamic that we have, it just works well for me. I've done some research on it and I feel safe using it for my family. This is obviously something you have to decide at your own discretion, but it works well for us. And I love making bone broth and then canning it in our electric pressure canner. It works great. I love keeping it on the shelf where it is shelf stable, but you could make your own bone broth and you could use it fresh, or you could even freeze it if you wanted to. It will last for several months in the freezer. I love this because it is rich in collagen. And actually, number 2 on my list that I keep in my pantry would be grass-fed collagen and gelatin. I love these for warm drinks, for putting them into like gummies. Collagen, gelatin, these are going to be great for supporting the lining, building the lining of your gut. If you're struggling with leaky gut and things like that, it's going to be very beneficial. So all of these things, bone broth is rich in collagen. That's why I love to consume it. It's great for warm soups. If you have a sore throat, if you have a stomach that's unsettled, just reaching and getting some broth that you canned yourself, pulling it off the shelf and warming it up in a pot, and then getting to sip it in a mug. That, to me, if you're struggling with sickness or just not feeling well, it's amazing. Plus, I just love the health benefits. I can add different herbs to it. I love to add like peppers, onions, carrots, celery, all of those things to my broth. I just love the benefits of it. But if that's something you feel like is out of reach, I think, like I said, my second option of collagen, grass-fed collagen and grass-fed gelatin, those are great options as well. And like I said, easy ways to do those. Make some, I've shared in previous recipes. You can use that grass-fed gelatin to make gummies for your kids. It's going to help with supporting their gut health as well. Same with the collagen. Mix it into a warm tea or a warm mug of broth or whatever you want in order to, again, boost your gut health, support your gut lining, all of those things. The other thing that I would do, number 3, is actually 100% grape juice. And this may sound weird, I will say I have no idea if this is actually research backed. This is 100% just what I have found to be true in my family. I am not claiming that there is any research to support this, but I love keeping 100% grape juice in my pantry for stomach bugs, like a stomach virus. What I have found to be true in my family is if someone starts coming down with symptoms of a stomach virus, then I give everyone a small amount of grape juice every single day. And what I have found is that a lot of times it ends up not spreading, or if it does, it's extremely mild. So for me, I will keep several containers of grape juice. You want to make sure it's 100% grape juice. I keep that on my shelf at all times. And then if someone starts to say like they are starting to feel nauseous or they're starting to have signs of a stomach virus, then I give everyone I usually do like half a cup or a cup for each person, including myself and my husband. And I have found it to be very beneficial in keeping us from getting sick, or at least making it significantly less severe. So that's something I always have on hand. Another great thing that I keep on hand would be canned soups. This could be home canned soups. This could be soups you bought from the store, whatever works for you and your family. But whenever you start feeling sick, you need a quick meal, whatever it is, there's nothing like just having soup quick, ready to go. I also actually, if I don't want to mess with home canning soup, what I will do is make soup, and then I have some like serving size containers, and I will ladle it into that, and then I will just freeze the soup as well. That can be a great option if you don't want to mess with canning, but you really don't want to buy store-bought either, which I don't blame you. I don't love the ingredients in most, probably all, of the pre-made store-bought canned soups. So I prefer to make it myself, and then if I don't want to mess with home canning it, I will just stick it in the freezer. You could also just stick it in a freezer in a bigger container if you wanted, and then quickly pull it out. For me, I like the smaller serving sizes because it gives me a little bit more versatility. My husband can grab a couple if he wants to take those for lunch one day, or if just one person is like, say we're all feeling sick, but one person still feels okay, then maybe they just want to eat some soup, but no one else feels like it, so they just would rather have some warmed broth. I just find that to be a little bit more versatile, and so I really like that option. Another thing I keep on hand all the time would be beans. I love using beans, putting them into different things. It just is a great source of fiber for me to just include in meals and things like that. Some of my favorites would be things like pinto beans, black beans, kidney beans, navy beans. Those are the things that I typically keep on hand all the time. Another option for me that I always keep on hand are actually pre-made cookies. So these are gluten-free cookies that I make at our home with good ingredients that I feel good about. But I actually will just like quadruple a batch, and then I will scoop them, use a cookie scoop, scoop them all out onto a cookie sheet. I will flash freeze them, and then once they're frozen, I will throw them all into a Ziploc bag, and I just keep them there ready to go. Again, this is because I'm giving my family, my kids may want a sweet treat. They may want some kind of fun snack. Maybe I feel like giving them a sweet treat in the afternoon. It's a warm, cozy day inside. We're all snuggled up in the house, and maybe I have a pot of soup going, but I want them to have some kind of fun treat as well. But I don't really have time to make an entire batch of cookies. Well, I already have these in the freezer ready to go that I can just pull out and the kids can eat and enjoy. And again, I'm deciding ahead of time. I know what's in them. I made them from home. I'm not having to. Gluten-free pre-made cookies are outrageous. It's where I live, it's like $6 for a package of 12. And I can make them for a fraction of that. So it just makes sense for me to keep those ready to go. They don't take up a lot of space the way I store them. So it's just a very nice thing to have on hand, ready for my kids, a good fun snack for them. Another thing that I always keep in my freezer, especially during cold and flu season, during the winter months, would be freezer meals. These are just some quick things. Like I mentioned, the soup is one of those things. Some things that I know if someone is not feeling well or we're just feeling kind of blah, I can tend to struggle with seasonal affective disorder. And so I do light therapy and things like that I've found really beneficial. But sometimes I just feel a little more blah in the winter months, if I'm being honest. So having those freezer meals ready to go has been really beneficial for me. And just making sure that, hey, this pantry is stocked. If I just am not feeling it, I'm just feeling kind of blah. I just kind of want to rest for the evening, whatever. I've got something quick that we can thaw out and heat in the oven or warm on the stove or whatever it may be. Those are really nice for me. Another thing that I keep is actually rice ramen. So my husband loves traditional ramen noodles. I'll be honest and say I actually have liked them, but I can't eat them. I can't have gluten. My kids don't eat gluten either. And so I have found that actually having rice ramen has been a great replacement for me because, to be totally honest, when I'm sick, a lot of times I kind of crave that type of food. It's not something I really ever crave any other time, but when I'm sick, I really want like a warm bowl of ramen. And so I have found having this rice ramen on hand that I can use like my homemade bone broth as well, put it in that, add some seasonings. It's nice. It's very hearty. It just feels warm and cozy. And it's something that gives me a healthy option that I would prefer the unhealthy option when I'm sick. And I know that about myself. So I just keep this rice ramen on stock because let's say my husband and I are both not feeling well. Well, he's honestly going to pull out the traditional ramen that one, I don't want to eat. I don't feel good about eating. But also if I eat that, I will end up covered in a rash, itching all over. And you don't want that when you're not feeling well. So for me, having this option of the rice ramen just gives me something that I can feel good about and still kind of get that comfort food that I'm really looking for when I don't feel well. It's great for making like a ramen bowl, things like that. That's also another great quick meal option that I love to keep on hand. Another thing that I keep in our pantry are actually herbs. So this would be both medicinal and cooking herbs. Some of those things would look like things like parsley, oregano, cinnamon. I love cinnamon because it's also an anti-inflammatory. I love to also keep garlic on hand. And I have a bunch of medicinal herbs that I keep on hand as well. I won't get into those in this episode. We might talk about those at a later time. But keeping those on hand has just been really, really helpful for me. And I love that, like I said, I can throw them into a bone broth. I can add them to a bowl of ramen. I just love being able to have these ingredients on hand that are going to add some flavor and some nutritional value to our food. And I love just having it ready to go. And then, like I had mentioned, garlic is a great one. Raw honey is another one that I keep all the time. Raw honey, great for sore throats, great for coughs. It's also antibacterial and antiviral, just like garlic is as well. Another thing I love to keep is ginger. Ginger is great for an upset stomach. It's great for if you have a sore throat, and it's also an anti-inflammatory as well. This is something you can add you can use it as like a cooking spice. So it's great to add into dishes and things like that. But also if you needed to mix it in with some honey, that's another great option if you're really struggling with a sore throat. Adding some of that ginger and honey into a hot tea. I love doing that. And on that note, another thing I keep in our pantry during the winter months all times is actually herbal teas. I love a good herbal tea. I love a good like bedtime tea. It's like a great bedtime ritual for me. I love keeping it there, just keeping it in stock. And like I said, I can add so many great things to it. I could add like some ginger. I can add honey to it. I could even honestly add, if I had like fermented honey garlic, I could add a little bit into that. I just love having it there ready to go. There are so many great herbal teas that you can get that can help with an upset stomach, that can help with a sore throat. It can help with digestive issues. They can help with if you're struggling with sleeping and winding down at night. Just keeping a good stock of herbal teas I have found to be so beneficial in our home. Another thing that I keep are actually, these kind of go together. It's actually lemon juice, and I keep lime juice as well. I keep this pretty much seasonal, like all year round. I keep lemon and lime juice. They're great sources of vitamin C, and I just love them. I can add it again to my herbal teas and things like that. If I'm struggling with congestion and cough and just trying to boost my immune system, I love adding a splash of lemon juice in there. I just love keeping it. I will even add lemon juice to my water. I love to get some warm water and add a splash of lemon juice. And I am not talking lemon juice from like a concentrate that you would get at like Walmart. I'm talking about like the glass bottle, like pure lemon juice. I find it at my health food store. I actually order it from Azure Standard. I will put a link for them below. But keeping that really good quality lemon juice, if you're not going to squeeze fresh lemons, which obviously keeping fresh lemons on hand would be ideal, but if that's not what you're going to do, then absolutely keeping a good quality, organic, bottled lemon juice is a must-have for me in my pantry. And then another thing that I actually do are onions. Onions are obviously great for cooking and things like that, but they're also great for, you can make like a poultice for if you have congestion. It's great to set on your chest, like wrap it up, set it on your chest. It's going to help with that chest congestion. Another thing that I keep also are potatoes. I love potatoes. Sweet potatoes are my favorites. I love like Japanese sweet potatoes. I love purple sweet potatoes. Pretty much any kind of sweet potato I love. I also love like a gold potato. So keeping those on hand are like a must-have for me. One thing I like to do with these is with like sweet potatoes, you can actually roast them or roast them in the oven and then freeze them if you wanted, like roast it whole and then freeze it. Another thing that I love to do is I have like one of those choppers that you use that can like chop food up very quickly for you. I love to chop up a mix of potatoes and then roast them. And then I'll make like a big batch of them on my sheet pan. And then I just have those ready to go for the week. And we can just pull them out and reheat them in the air fryer actually to give them that nice crispiness and eat them as we want. Mixing those like sweet potatoes with regular potatoes is just delicious to me. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. So those are some things that I keep in our pantry during the winter months. I would love to hear from you. What do you keep in your pantry? What is a must-have? Like you cannot go without it no matter what. Come over to our free Facebook community. It's bit.ly/motherhood community and share with us. I can't wait to hear from you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful week. See you back next time. Hey Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who is wanting to live more holistically without the overwhelm? Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. It blesses and encourages me to know that this show is helping you. All right, friends, it's time for me to go work in the garden and make some homemade bone broth. I will see you back next week.